Too late. You guys good? Here we go. I would like to call the August 7th, 2023 City Council meeting to order at 7:01. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
You. A roll call. Counselor Holmes is excused tonight. Everyone else is present. I'm looking over the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
Moved by Counselor McHugh. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Counselor Santiago. Any question? All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we come to our public comments. This is a place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to council regarding any matter not on the agenda and not scheduled for public hearing. Members of the public addressing council are requested to give their name and city of residence. Speakers are to limit their testimony to 5 minutes, as we are limited to 30 minutes total for all public comments. I do have two here right now. We'll start with Adam St. Pierre.
Good.
You're good.
Greetings, council members. My name is Jennifer Massey from St. Helens, but I'm here today speaking to you as president of a nonprofit organization here in Columbia County for transparency and accountability, FAFODDS. And we're here following up on questions that we have on the RMS system, so the region system. I'll let Adam and I are going to kind of tackle this together, so I'll let you.
You know, I you guys know I emailed you a while back a little letter, 3 or 4 pages. I just wanted to ask to have that officially entered into record so that you don't have to read it off to you. You're
Okay,
with that?
that's fine. It's entered.
And then we have a few other questions that we'd like to ask. And just need be.
Yeah, so we have some follow-up. So thank you again for responding to the letter. We appreciate that. Right now, you know, we're trying to do a little bit of fact finding and research on the region system and our understanding of where the contract was and then kind of how it went a little bit to the left or the right or however you want to say it, but how we ended up with 2 agencies on the region system, the new one, excuse me, Central Square versus the old region system. So right now we're getting a lot of conflicting information as we've sent emails out to all the different agencies, which is interesting in itself. It always is when you send out requests for information. But it's pretty significant on the disparaging information that we're getting or the contrasting comparison we did. So we do have some additional questions we're hoping that you guys can help answer. You know, in the response back from the letter, which we did appreciate, one of the things that came up on our questions was the liability for the Scappoose police officers training with the county. And while we all agree that having a harmonious relationship and partnership is super important for a plethora of reasons, but one of the concerns that was brought up by your constituents was the liability piece of that for officers training with CCSO when it came to disciplinary action for officers, considering that they're not trained on necessarily all the policies and procedures. Also, if there is an incident that happens outside of Scappoose and they are then brought in on a civil suit, that would come back as probably some petition to joinder or some type of being named in a civil suit. That wasn't addressed in the email that was sent back to us. So we're hoping that we can get some additional explanation on the actual liability piece of having officers outside of Scappoose servicing other citizens. And then also, when it comes to the region system, we are of the understanding, based on the research we have done so far, that the region system is supposed to become obsolete in 2024. So while we did appreciate the response back, we did not get information on what Scappoose intends to do for the new RMS system if they're not going to go with one of the three that were vetted for the last, it looks like 4 years. So we're kind of curious on where that stands. Also, who's doing the research for the system? Since obviously a lot of work went into it for 4 years, what is going to be the new RMS system? And so we're curious about who will be doing the research, and if you're looking into any other of services outside of the three of four that were already looked at for the last 4 years. Our understanding is with the Central Square system that it is a more lean and efficient system from what we can see, and we're not professionals at it, but what we've gleaned on our research, that it seemed beneficial. So we're also curious on, besides the fact that I believe in the letter, if I recall correctly, it just talked about contractual issues, why those wouldn't have been vetted out over the 4-year period if it came down to that piece of it, if everything else was copacetic and beneficial, and two other agencies, the biggest agencies in the county, that thought that that was a better system. So,
We want facts. We're gonna put in our FOIA request to all the agencies involved, asking for where they stood, where, at what point in time. And hopefully we do get the transparency and accountability, and we get to pursue that, put that towards the constituents and, our citizens. Everybody in the county is interested.
Sorry about that. Thank you. I wrote a few things here. You got that information. I know you did give them some information as you came in today. Earlier, you've received earlier. We'll go through and see what questions weren't answered on your new questions like tonight, and see if there's some new things there, and try to get you some information.
it would be helpful, Mayor, we could also just, send back a follow-up based on the email that we did receive today, if that would also help, so that we can
It would
figure out
help.
how they get.
Got it. Make sure I
Appreciate your
remember
guys'
everything.
time. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Margaret. Margaret Trenchard Smith. Come on up. Speak good into the microphone. I forgot to tell Adam, but this is so they can hear it online. I'll start you over here. Nice.
Hello, I'm Dr. Margaret Trenchard Smith of Scappoose, Oregon. I'm here this evening on behalf of the Columbia County Cultural Coalition. Our usual practice is to release grant monies from the Oregon Cultural Trust to nonprofit events in heritage and the arts, and culture generally. When we've had a budget overage, as we have this year, sometimes we want to give a workshop. So we're giving a workshop on September 13th, conducted by Arthur Davis, who's a specialist in grant writing. He spoke for us 5 years ago. People got an awful lot out of that day. It's a full day's event. It will be catered. At any rate, the flyer is going to all of you. We have a virtual copy of this flyer, and we would be so grateful if the Scappoose City Council would spread the word about this event. We're, of course, very interested in bringing extra dollars into the county, and the more effective our nonprofits are in writing grant proposals, the better off the county will be. That's really all I have to say. Thank you so much for letting me come in extempore, as it were.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate it
very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Got a picture.
May I send the virtual copy to?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Should I go through Isaac?
Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac.
You got it.
Will do. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Okay, any more, Susan? Anyone online? Any online? Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Today, we're looking at June 19, 2023 City Council meeting minutes, July 17, 2023 City Council meeting minutes, and reappointment of George Haefman to the Economic Development Committee. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
You're all over the scorebook tonight.
I know.
Counselor McHugh, first,
These guys are just too slow.
make a motion. Any seconds?
Second.
Ooh, get Counselor Miller, second on that. Any discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. New business CGI sponsorship. Associate Planner NJ Johnson and Joshua Mayolo with CGI here today.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So as you all know, we've been redoing our community video with CGI Digital. We haven't had a redo of our community video in a long time, I think somewhere in the mid 2010s. And a lot has changed in Scappoose, both in the community and in the look and feel. So we did some filming for that in late May, and now we're in the sponsorship stage. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joshua, who we have here online, graciously joining us at 10 p.m. his time.
Thank you.
Thank you, NJ. Just means I get to stay up and watch my Yankees lose to the White Sox tonight. But I appreciate you guys, Council. Thank you for having me. My name is Joshua. I'm the program director here at CGI Digital. And I just wanted to come on and explain my role a little bit through the production process and through the completion of the video tour for your municipal website. I will be the one in direct contact with the local businesses and the community organizations. And prior, I like to take my time to do my due diligence and do my research to know as much about your city as I possibly can. So when I am meeting with the locals, I don't come across as a New Yorker, and hopefully I'm as knowledgeable as the locals would want me to be. So I had a meeting previously with City Manager Rains, Isaac, and NJ, and they were able to fill me in on a lot of what's happening within the community. And that outreach will begin in the next couple of weeks here. My business associate, her name is Hazel, and myself will be conducting outreach to the local businesses to show them different ways to participate with the video tour. And just wanted to open up any questions about the video program, and I'm excited to work with the community.
I do have one question. How do you pronounce our city?
Scappoose.
Got it. Good job.
Yeah, Miss Rains put me through the ringer on that one earlier. I wanted to make sure I practiced and got it down.
All right. Took this time to study and learn it. Great. Any questions?
Gonna see the video? Is there a video to see?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's not done yet. We just wanted to make sure that if there was any questions about how CGI would be reaching out to local businesses and interacting with them, that you could ask them questions. So that's really what he's primarily here to discuss, is because now we are at that step where we're going to start seeing who, if anybody, wants to sponsor the videos.
Will we see your script then, before you start sending it out? Will you at least let the city manager and city see the script and work with them and get an approval?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I'll get that over to you tomorrow morning for approval.
Question. Is the Economic Development Committee being involved in this process?
Yeah, so from the beginning, we brought them, specifically the economic development chapter, and we had the script of what was going to be said in the voiceover, and then they were responsible for putting together the locations that you actually see featured in Scappoose.
I would recommend on any of the ones that I've done, if they had let them look at them first, and if they want to redone, brought a professional in, something like that, happy to voiceover. Yeah. Yeah.
AI. Have you AI?
That was my first time on camera, so I was rusty. But
You did a great
no, I
job.
thought what I've seen and the ones I've looked at are good. I'm excited to see it,
Thank you.
especially with the new technology that's probably newer than the last time you guys did Scappoose. See
Yeah,
the
it's
changes.
been a while, so I'm excited to redo it for you guys.
On our video, I mean, are you gonna show things outside the city such as Scappoose Bay and, the mountains or things that are right outside that aren't really just our city, but it really is Scappoose and Portland? And
There's stuff like that in there, including Scappoose Bay.
yeah, cause Cedar City, I don't see the city down the bit, that big Grand Canyon. I'm sure it's close by. Any more questions? And Jay, anything we need to know or think about then?
we, Alex
Timeline?
Alex Isaac and I have been looking at in terms of like the video production side, we've been looking at it and I think we're on round 3 of comments right now. So it's coming close on the video side of it. And then we'll just see who wants to be included from the community in terms of sponsorship and funding this effort.
You think it would roll by the end of the year?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Joshua. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joshua.
Sorry about the Yankees.
Are we though?
Yeah.
Rub it in, everybody, rub it in.
Okay, now we're moving on. We've got a couple fun ones tonight. We've got European Choir Tour Summer of 2024 presentation, Zoe Mayers. On down. And like we said, really get into this microphone so everyone online can hear. You're recorded and it goes down in history.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope your evening is going well. Thank you for your time again. Like you said, this is for a European choir tour with Oregon State University and Oregon Ambassadors of Music in 2024. So before I move on to this next slide, I'd like to talk to you guys about what this really is. So to be invited on this tour, you must be nominated by either a band or a choir teacher or someone in the music field of your school, and you must be no younger than 15 or no older than 20 to go on this tour when you do go. This nomination is sent to Oregon State University and Oregon Ambassadors of Music, and after that, they send you a letter confirming your nomination and explaining roughly what this trip is about. I personally believe that this is a once in a lifetime experience and that there is a lot to learn from this trip. There are 3 college credits that are given on this trip, one of which is about the Holocaust, since we are going to Austria and Germany. These credits can be transferred through certain colleges. I'm not quite sure which ones they are, but I am interested in the music field and I would love to transfer some of these credits over to them. Some of the places that we are going is Italy, Germany, Switzerland, Czech Republic, and Austria. This trip does mean a lot to me because my family is from Czech Republic. I am also the only student from Scappoose that is attending this trip. So, like I said in this first slide, I was nominated by my choir teacher. I really do believe that this is a great experience to really have. It's very educational and it's definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity that I do not think I will ever really get again. And like I said, I'm the only person from Scappoose High School going, and I would really love to have this opportunity. There are different fundraising opportunities that in sponsorship that they have given us, they provided to us on the Oregon Ambassadors of Music website. I have chosen to do a fundraising music gig in Heritage Park, and the date is to be determined at this moment. I am also doing a fundraising music gig at my church at Creekside Baptist. It's behind Fred Meyer's, and it's in the end of September, either the 22nd or the 29th, and that is a Friday night. It will start at 6 o'clock and it'll be roughly an hour. The Oregon Ambassadors of Music website does they do give you a sponsorship plan, including information on that and a sponsorship letter. And I will double check on this, but I do believe that there is tax write-offs and deductions given to anyone who sponsors. So I have a quick question for you guys. Is there any possibility that you guys could sponsor some money to this tour? Like, is that even a thing?
I would have to look into it. We do have a community enhancement program for nonprofits that we've done that's already passed for the year. We'll have to look at some opportunities. I mean, we can definitely put it on our marketing, our webpage, links to your programs. Any GoFundMe types that you might have, we can link it to that.
Yes, a GoFundMe was an idea that me and my parents had. But we would also put the dates that these little gigs are on there so people know that I'm not just sitting here waiting for money to come in. I am also fundraising for this, and this would be donations only. There's no fee or anything to come in. It would be tips and donations if people would like to give money. And they give us different timelines and amount of money to pay in the website, and this trip is $7,138 to go on. That includes breakfast and dinner, hotels, plane tickets, and that is without spending money. So I would need to raise roughly 8,000 to 9,000, maybe even 10,000 to go on this tour, um, to really enjoy, sightsee, you know, really experience this, bring back souvenirs, try different foods. Um, The next payment is $400 on August 20th. So some of the details of this tour, it is 15 days long. Um, we leave on July 8th, 2024. There is a 3-day OSU choir camp. That is 3 days also before we leave. It is the only time that we get to practice, and that is when we get our music 3 days before we leave. Um, we have performances about every 3 to 5 days. There's lots of sightseeing. There is different restaurants that we go to, and we really indulge in their culture. Like I said, the 3 college credits involved. One is in Germany and Austria for the Holocaust. Um, Thank you so much for your time and for listening. I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your meeting to help me with this. I believe it's a once in a lifetime chance, and I am more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
What I just had was, these are all Oregon high school students
Yes.
going.
What is the timeline that you have to raise the money? Is there different, do you have to, by a certain time, do you have to tell them and commit to it 100%?
Yes. So the very first payment that we made was $845, and that locks in our spot, and that is non-refundable. Um, like I said, they give us different timelines and different dates to have this money, and there's a 2-week window until that money is no longer accepted. So you have your due date and then 2 weeks to get that money in if you don't have all of it or any of it in.
What is your due date?
This next due date is August 20th, and it is a $400 deposit.
So by August 20th, you need $400?
Yes, and it can either be by PayPal on their website, but there is a fee for that, or I can send it in by check to Oregon Ambassadors of Music.
Okay. So I don't know that the city would be able to give you money because there's strict guidelines on how public funds can be used, and also promoting as well. But we are elected officials, and I think I'd have to check, but it does seem that we would be able to put something on our individual Facebook pages as elected officials. But again, we would have to verify that for sure.
Okay.
So there are certain ways that we can probably help you, but I don't think that we can give you money out of the city's budget, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Just want to make sure that that part's understood.
Yes, thank you. Is there any more
Anything
questions?
else?
I have a question. How many students altogether will be part of this group?
So this tour happens every 2 years. They leave 1 year out to plan. This has been going on since like 1996. And so there's roughly about 300 to 400 students that go on this tour every year, all over Oregon, and it's only Oregon because it's through Oregon State University and Oregon Ambassadors of Music. So there's many students going my age from different schools. Like I said, you can't be younger than 15 or over 20 when you go on this tour when it ends.
Has Scappoose had high school students part of this program before?
I would assume so, but I'm not sure. Any other questions?
I think we're good.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
so much
Thank
for
you,
your
Zoe.
time. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Congratulations.
Thank
You'll make
you.
it. You'll get there.
Thank you so much.
Congrats on being selected.
Okay, I brought this up to you guys a couple times and asked for some help. So we've got tonight for representing the president of the Vietnamese community of Oregon. We're looking at a Vietnamese heritage and freedom flag. We have Thao too, correct?
Yes, I am Thao Từ. Good evening, Mayor Pascas and the council members. My name is Thao Từ, and I am the president of the Vietnamese community of Oregon. This evening, on behalf of my Vietnamese community of Oregon boss, I would like to read my proclamation of the Vietnamese heritage and freedom flag, if you allow me to do so.
You can read it.
Yeah, I will begin. Whereas Vietnamese refugees have proudly resided in the city of Scabus and surrounding communities since the conclusion of the Vietnam War. Whereas Vietnamese Americans have put their full energy building the city of Scabus in the surrounding city in a multitude of prominent areas, including industry, economy, culture, education, and military service. Whereas Vietnamese Americans have counted on the state of Oregon as being their second heart, mind, and family homeland. Whereas Vietnamese Americans have embraced Vietnamese custom and tradition that have continually practiced through generations. Whereas a large number of the Oregon Vietnamese Americans faithfully embraced the yellow and three red stripe heritage and freedom flag as the symbol of Vietnamese American community. Whereas it is the will and desire from the Vietnamese community of Oregon and its community members that the Vietnamese American heritage and freedom flag be recognized as the official flag for their organization in the city of Scabus. Can I read the next one too?
Yes.
Yeah, if you approve, now therefore I, the mayor of Scabus, do hereby recognize the Vietnamese American heritage and freedom flag as the official flag of the Vietnamese American in the city of Scabus. I resolutely encourage all to join the reverent recognize of the cultural Vietnamese heritage and freedom flag. Thank you for letting me read the proclamation from the Vietnamese community of Oregon. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We will do some due diligence and do a little research on this and talk and decide if that's something we want to do ourselves for you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
For all of your time.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Have a good evening. Okay, now on to something else, business now. Additional funding for biosolids dryer procurement, Public Works Director Dave Sukow and Public Works Contract Administrator Charlotte Baker and Kevin Turner, special guest.
Evening, Mayor and Council. So I just want to take a quick second to introduce you to Charlotte Baker, who is our new contracts administrator. We're happy to have her on the team.
Oh, is this one on? I don't know. I'll use this one. Hi, I think I've met a few of you, but not everyone, so it's nice to put a name to a face.
Okay, and with that, we have a few things tonight to request from you for the wastewater department. As you know, there's a lot of renovations in the works down there. The first is the biosolids dryer. When we presented to you for the procurement of that piece of equipment, the best estimate was $1.2 million at that time. The dryer at the 924 is still true and accurate, and the equipment has come in at some more expense than we thought due to design constraints, lengths of conveyors and such. I don't know if Kevin wants to touch on that. On the phone, we also have two of the design engineers from Consor to speak on some of the design factors if you guys have any questions on that. And so
Yeah, the last time it was just basically the dryer itself, so there's quite a bit of conveyors, and Justin can expand on that if you want. Air scrubbers and blowers and appurtenance to the dryer.
The dryer did not go up. I mean, can it still? Is it time at price of shipment? Is there a reason that one didn't go up, but others?
It is locked. What they didn't know is what we needed exactly for conveyance at the time that the preliminary stuff, they knew what the dryer was, so.
Changed a few things, but not on the dryer.
Correct. Correct. And then the reason that we brought Charlotte up, I should have mentioned, is that she drafted these 3 staff reports, and so
Bravo.
she should be for this presentation. So what we're seeking from you tonight is approval for the additional $383,960 for the remaining balance of the equipment to be purchased. This is for the dryer and its equipment. There will be more items that are affiliated with the facility modifications, just as an FYI. We have to make modifications to the building, put in walls, foundations, etc. This does not include that. This is just everything coming from Bioforce Tech.
And do we feel that this is the last increase? I mean, is the time frame when, or can it still increase again?
They told me the other day, we confirmed that this will cover everything from them. Justin or Austin, do you hear?
That is correct.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Greisen?
for the record, could we just say where this extra money would be coming from?
Yeah, so we were awarded the $1.9 million from ARPA for this project. We are still under that budget, plus we have the $279,000 that council dedicated from the other ARPA funds. That term is used very loosely, but so we have 2.179 covered without any money coming out of the city's pocket for this project, and we're still well under that. So.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part. Dave. And you're what? My question was gonna be the same. So the 300, where is it coming from? Obviously ARPA funds?
The ARPA funds are covering that.
And it doesn't take away from another type of funding or so?
No.
No, this is still dedicated within the 1.9.
Okay.
You're below that threshold.
Oh, you're below. That's what I didn't hear. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
just for the record, I had asked City Manager Rains for clarification. I think the point that you're trying to make is that we're not taking away from any other project that we've already decided on or approved or that they were working on by approving the 383,960, and the answer is no, that we're not.
Question I have, if it does come out at like 1.7, what happens to the extra 200,000 that is in there for ARPA? Do we get that?
If needed, no. If needed, it can be transferred to another approved project within that application. And we don't know that we need it for those projects yet at this point. So, in all honesty, we will probably burn it all and then some. Engineers' estimates are over 2 million, actually pushing 3. It's still a artboard thing, obviously, for us, but some of the numbers are saying as much as 3. We're creating strategies for that. We may do some of this work in-house to try to hit that target budget. So that's what we're preparing ourselves to do as we learn more about what these costs are really like.
Dave, I have a question in that regard. Sorry.
Sure.
So is there any concern that we're starting something that we can't finish? I guess that's the best way to summarize it. No. Okay. Right.
No, the equipment that's coming is, the dryer itself is kind of built on a pallet of its own. It'll come in on a truck as one unit. It gets placed on a foundation. Basically, it's plug and play. The conveyors that they're designing will be just established on footings, all pre-built. There's no reason that this shouldn't work out just fine. So,
Any other questions?
This will allow us to do the Class A bio.
that's correct.
Yes, we can. It looks like you guys probably knew at the time when you requested a certain amount of money that we didn't know for sure what it was going to be. So unfortunately, you estimated a little bit high on this.
Yeah, those were based on engineers' estimates at the time when we master planned. So
What time was it? I mean, was that before the everything went crazy and lead times and prices went up, and you built that in, or was it about the time we were seeing that?
about right the time as COVID hit. So it was It's a wild card.
And time-wise, I mean, we're still looking good to be able to get within the ARPA guidelines?
We're cutting it close, to be honest with you on this one. This one has a 2024 deadline that the equipment is scheduled to drop right around the time that deadline. So we're making sure that all the strategies are in place to get.
I know they're working on extensions and trying to, help, but if that doesn't happen, we're still right on time.
We're okay right now.
now.
Well, and we would point out too that this is also the DAS imposed timeline that is ahead of the federal deadlines. It's not what Business Oregon is actually following for the other pot of money. So we've never really been able to get a straight answer from DAS as to why they made their deadline June of 24. And I've actually asked the League of Oregon Cities about this, and they can't seem to get a straight answer either. So just pointing that out.
Yeah, but in reading through the contract, it's mostly that you've exhausted the funds, and we will definitely do that with all of this procurement. So engineering.
Yes.
I don't recall, Dave, will we be the only city in the county that has a Class A?
One of the few in the state.
I don't think class can speed away.
Probably the first in the county. The time we get the equipment will be the second in the state to have it, first or second. EQ is super excited about it as well.
Yeah, and now I'm remembering some of some of the comments from last time. Thank you.
The one you went to see was in Central Washington,
That's right.
Yes.
and then one.
That's
in
a
Albany.
this equipment,
Yeah.
this specific equipment. But Newburgh and Seaside are both a different treatment process.
There's many cities that do Class A, yeah.
So will you still be creating Class B biosolids?
We will be A once this is in place.
We won't doing any more Class B then?
No.
How'd we lose 75 acres?
Because they're leasing it.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't own it.
Private property
There's
lease
other landowners
allowed us to
doing
dump
other
it
things.
there. And you can only dump on certain areas so often. I mean, there's rules. Okay. All right.
Mayor?
Yes, Counselor McHugh.
Council approve $383,960 in additional funding from American Rescue and Act funds provided to the city through the grant from the Department of Administrative Services for the procurement of ancillary equipment for the BioForce Tech Bio Dryer. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. I gotta repeat it. I have a motion from
Wait, hold
Counselor McHugh to approve the additional funding of $389,550 for the biosolids for the wastewater treatment plant Phase 1 improvement project. Any seconds?
Second.
Counselor Santiago seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Couple more for you. Consort contract amendments approval. We doing them each separately?
Well, I'm okay if we do it together, to be honest with you. They both are extensions or amendments to our contracts with Consor, as you mentioned. One is for the Phase 1 design. When the project was initially planned, there was certain equipment that was going to be renovated. Since then, we've learned that list needs to be expanded, reduced into a two-phase rather than originally a three-phase process. So what this accounts for the additional scope for Consor is the additional design work. As you can see, originally the project was estimated at 6.12 million. We're at now 9.6, so that's about a 30% increase in design. And then so the costs are proportionate to that. When you look at the costs that they're established based on a percentage, which engineering does quite a bit, the percentage of costs are actually going down from 18% to 15.7. So their pricing is on par. There's no increase above the scope percentage, if that makes sense to you guys. So we're just seeking your approval for the additional 398,550 contract amendments for that. If we can do this as two-part, if you would like. The second amendment to this, Amendment 6, is for the design work of the biosolids dryer, and it's building modifications, et cetera. They've done all of the work to design the conveyor systems in conjunction with Kevin. And this is for their work for that. and to get us into the bid stage with plans, et cetera, specifications and all of the above.
And this is all within the original 1.9 million ARPA dollars.
Yes,
plus
so
the
if you combine the
76.
924, give or take, the additional money we approved for the dryer, this 219 that they're asking for the additional design work, that would be our current spent to date off top of the cuff. I don't know exactly where that is. Remaining balance of the 2.179 is what we have to basically build the facility. Do the installation of the equipment and wiring.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Charlotte, in the accepted motion, the number is different than the recommendation. I just assume it's a reversal of numbers. Just want to make sure if I'm the one to read it, that I get it right.
I just noticed that. I only did, 4 drafts. Of
No,
this,
I
but Of course, I just noticed
all
it right
good.
now. Oh, yes, that's the type.
Perfect, thank you.
If this was like a $50,000 increase, is that below your threshold that we wouldn't even seen it? Or
So when you're talking about increasing existing contracts, it's how much the percent of the contract it's increasing that would trigger whether or not it needs a new approval. Obviously, this is quite significant, so we're bringing it to you, but that's kind of the threshold. There's a percent that would trigger that to need new approval from council.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion to approve the additional funding for the wastewater treatment phase 1 improvement due to increased scope. Would we do the motion separately? We need to do them each. Yeah. And 5.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Charlotte, so we would say, I move council approve amendment 5 and 6 or just 5?
You could see amendment 5 in the amount of the 398, 550. Amendment 6 in the 219 some.
What is the amount for, sorry, what is the second amount for Amendment 6?
214, 236, 214,236.
Where the flag is?
There, this flag, this green flag is, it's probably me, but I'm only seeing 2 different numbers. One is a 389 and one is a 214. Did we not approve?
98.
That was the first
It's
one.
just a quick little, maybe we should have somebody read the suggested motion first. real quick.
Okay, I read
I got
the
it.
wrong number on the
Yeah, I got
first
it.
one.
Well,
Yep.
you want both?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Designated reader. First of all, I have a lot of confidence what you guys do down in Public Works, you do a job down there. Appreciate all you do. Okay. I move council approve Amendment 5 to the wastewater treatment plan Phase 1 improvement project with Consor authorizing an additional $389,550 of American Rescue Plan funds for this project. And
Is it, go ahead and,
did I miss it?
it is supposed to be the 398,
Yes,
correct.
that is correct. The
398.
bolded one is correct.
which is the one I read earlier.
395.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's, okay. Change that.
398.
Also, I move council approve the $214,236 in American Rescue Plan funding for the added scope of work related to the design and bidding services for the biosolids dryer.
I have a motion for council to approve Amendment 5 to the wastewater treatment plan Phase 1 improvement project with Consor, authorizing an additional $398,550 of the American Rescue Plan Act for this project, and as well as to approve $214,236 in American Rescue Plan Act funding for the added scope of work related to the design and bidding service for the biosolids dryer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Council President Grayson. Any discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
You.
Thank you, guys.
Great job, Charlotte.
Okay, I am to the calendar. Not at all. We are now on August 7th. So Planning Commission meeting, August 10th, 7 PM. Every Friday, movies in the park. I think they start at 7 PM. So, go watch Zoe sing and then come to the movies in the park at the end of the month. Scappoose Farmers Market every Saturday in August, 9 AM to 2 PM. August 17th, EDC meeting at noon, followed by Parks and Rec at 6 PM. Our next council work session at 6 PM, August 21st, followed by a council meeting at 7 PM. August 24th, Planning Commission at 7 PM. And that's all I have for August. So update, city manager, Rains.
Yes, Mayor and Council. So obviously we have Adventure Fest coming up this weekend. Hope to see you all there. In late July, I attended the OCCMA conference, so for city and county administrators in Oregon. It was a really good conference. Actually, there was a specific session on potential power shortages in Oregon that I think is going to be really important. Michael Sykes actually facilitated it, so I've actually been talking to him, potentially doing a work session with you all to actually share that same information. I also served on a panel. The Northwest Women's Leadership Academy held a panel talking about bridging the gap, trying to elevate women into at least 50% of executive leadership roles. In Oregon, right now, they're only about 20%. So I participated on that panel. And that academy is a program I went through myself. I volunteered on it for 3 years after that to help them put on future cohorts. And I actually nominated Charlotte to attend it. So see, she has to put in her application still. Yeah, but she has been nominated. So that's all I've got for you this evening. Thanks.
Thank you. Police Chief Lugal.
Good evening. To date, we have 203 cases that we've worked on. Officer Berglund and Basso are still in FTEP, but Officer Berglund is in the final stages and will be returning shortly. And then we'll do some work with him here before he's on his permanent shift. We now have 2 certified trainers. One is Sergeant Larson, and Lieutenant Flewellen attended FTEP instructor training last week. So that's going to help with some of the questions that were brought up tonight. Sergeant Larson has really made a pretty big impact already. He's on the road taking calls. He's mentoring our new officer, Jacob McFarland, until he gets into the academy, unfortunately, not to November. Our lateral candidate is through backgrounds, had the first phase of his last evaluations last Thursday, and the next phase will be tomorrow. So I'm hoping to know by the end of next week what a start date will look like for him. So we're moving in the right direction. Under the goals, you'll see I finally obtained my basic supervisory and management certifications, got them all in one day. Lieutenant Flewellen is right behind me. He should have his shortly. I'm not going to read all of them off, but you can see it was a very busy month for code enforcement. So I have them all listed. As everyone has said, we have a big month in community events. 7 o'clock, Mayor's probably a little bit late because we ran out of food pretty early. We cooked 200 hamburgers and 180 hot dogs. Everybody was there by 6 o'clock. So we're going to start cooking at 6 and hopefully start serving by 6:30. And as I briefly touched on the last time we met is, so we had some very productive meetings with Flock Safety Systems for an LPR system. They're gracious and they're going to give us 5 cameras for a 2-month trial period, no cost. I can tell you this, that if we had them in place, would have helped with a couple of big calls we had, one being a fraud, pretty big one. We probably would have been able to identify a suspect. And then we had a few stolen vehicles. So we're gonna test it out, and then after the 2 months, I'll come back with a summary, and I'll let you know how they're working. And once we figure out where the placement's going to be, I will advise. I will tell you, they will only be used for bona fide police reasons. It's not a tracking mechanism. It's simply if there's a crime and we have information, we can go back, locate that vehicle, and hopefully a suspect. So.
Chief, would they be on the street cameras or in the cars?
I'm not quite sure yet. I know we're going to put at least 2 on Highway 30. They're going to they have to work with ODOT for permitting and stuff like that. And then they're going to look at the mapping and decide where they think the proper placement is for them. But I can't tell you, I'm very familiar with them. Back east where I came from, we had over 80 in the city. They were responsible for solving homicides and abundance of crimes. So I think it'll be good to actually see what it'll do here. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank
They'll look at your license plate, put
you.
it through a database. If there's reported stolen, anything like that, it will just check for that.
About Amber too, that'd be great.
Yes, all those. Thank you. Andrew,
We scare you, so I'm not ready for that.
I wasn't sure.
I was gonna
Yeah.
maybe do out of order
I was gonna do them last, but should I do them first?
first.
Okay, let's pull a name out of hat. Pete, Counselor McHugh.
All right, thank you. Okay, well,
Need a tissue.
first of all, found out just as this meeting started that we had a fire. Rocky Point area, and 3 people lost their lives. Yeah. 2 children and a mother, and that's just really, really sad. And I just, when the community rallies around that family in some manner to give them the support they need, it's an unbelievable tragedy. In my 46 years, I've never heard of something like that happening. And whoever they are, they're part of this community. So, also report on the senior center. The road is fabulous. Couldn't be a better. I mean, you gotta slow right down. You're not gonna fly over that one. But if you do, you'll probably turn or crash. But anyways, turned out really, really well. So, also the cafe. They started a new cafe at the senior center. Things are progressing there very, very nicely. It's the Salt and Pepper Cafe, and they are only open 1 day a week for 1 meal, and that's on Wednesdays from 11:30 to 1:30. But they sold, just like our police department, they sold out of food in an hour or so. But they scrambled and kept offering people leftovers from other days. And would you like to have some casserole here? We're out of hamburgers, but anyway. Apparently went really well, and they're looking to expand that to another day sometime in the near future. But this time, go to this Salt and Pepper Cafe on Wednesdays and you'll get a good lunch. And with that said, I'd like to read this letter. Dear Mayor Backus and fellow councilors, I'm resigning from the Scappoose City Council effective after tonight's meeting. I appreciate, respect every councilor, city employee with whom I've had the privilege of working. I'm doing that. Anyway,
Means a lot.
you're an amazing bunch and the city is in good hands. Near as I can figure, there are no weak links. Everyone is competent, everyone works hard, everyone cares. That's very unusual. To each of you, thanks for all you do. Being a city councilor and serving the community that I love has been a high honor, but also very demanding. I find it more difficult to focus and keep up with the workload. Aging and watching so many of my friends and family suffer from health issues as a way of shifting priorities. Time for me to move on and allow a new counselor enough time to acclimate to the position, ready for goal setting in January. Not going very far, but I continue to be involved to assist where I can fit in and do the most good. Let's go.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it. Follow that, Andrew.
Yeah, that's helping to follow. Yeah, like Peter said, thoughts and prayers with the involved with the fire. Just really sad to hear. But Peter, I've only served with you for 6 months, but we're gonna miss your voice of reason. So much respect for the work you've done in this community and just the institutional knowledge you have. So good luck on the next step and journey in life and getting out on the tennis court. Ball with you. Looking forward to Venture Fest. My daughter's been talking about it for 12 months now. So she had so much fun last year and super excited to bring the little 1-year-old as well. So
Thank you. Counselor Santiago.
I'd like to echo what Councilor LaFriend said about Councilor here. McHugh, you've been great. I feel like develop a friendship with you in a short time. And so we'll see you around. Thank you for all your work and thank you. Just a couple of things that I'll let Mayor expand on the events. We went to the annual membership meeting for CET, and there were 2 awards given from the Wana Community Credit Union to $10,000 check to CET, and then there was a $10,000 check to the Columbia County Business Alliance. It was a great event, and sure there's pictures in social media. Let's see, another event, well, we had the 50 years, and what I got out of the meeting is we don't have enough AAs, high density, and there was a mandated state mandate change, which is HB 3395, if you guys want to know. And they will be presenting, I think in August 21st with us in council. I have to share a couple events. PCC OMIC training, they're going to be having an event on Tuesday, August 29th, 1 to 4 p.m. Classes on welding and manufacturing, controllers, forklifting training. And I shared with the city, so please check our website and our social media. Also, they're having a car show on September 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. They have live music, raffles, and a tour. So we look out for those events coming up. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Counselor Miller.
First, Pete, it's been a pleasure and honor to be able to serve with you. And I can't say enough good things about you. And I know you're not going far and you're only a phone call away. And I know you'll continue to be very involved with the city and the community. So again, thank you for everything that you've done and just all the support that you've given all of us. You've been a steady hand for all of us. Kind of an emotional day here. So as Councilor McHugh had mentioned, there was a house fire where 3 people lost their lives. And one was, excuse me, Cherie Haymeyer, who I knew for practically all my life because I went to school with her and her 2 children. And I only mention her name because the family has made that public as of today. So please keep her family and her oldest daughter, who is still alive, in your thoughts. On July 26th, I attended the county commissioner meeting, which I try to do every week. Just something that's notable here is that the sheriff has hired a consultant to go in and renegotiate the daily rate that the U.S. Marshals pay for the detainees that they house in the Columbia County Jail. And they're expecting that the rate, which is currently $90 per day, will go up to $120 and generate approximately $592,000 additional revenue for the sheriff's office, potentially per year. So I only mention this because I think it's good public information that this is going on and that they do engage consultants to try to renegotiate their rate and bring revenue into the county and the sheriff's office specifically. And it's a safety issue also. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Grayson.
I'm glad that Councilor Santiago mentioned PCC. As a parent in the community, they've had wonderful opportunities this summer with open lab time. My kids have been able to design and do like 3D printing and different digital projects, which has just been really great. They're also starting a Lego robotics team in our upper elementary school and then hopefully at our lower elementary school as well. It's great that there's somewhere that has just extra money and time willing to help do those really fun things. So I know I'll have a kiddo, at least one in that program, which will be great. I wanted to thank the Public Works Department for all their efforts with the weather that they do in the summer with painting and striping and excellent work with the senior center and in their parking lot as well. It's not easy to be out on super hot days, so I know you guys get an early start and we appreciate that. In regards to page 37 of the staff report, the increased code enforcement operations, thank you so much for that detailed list. I have to admit, I may have given some suggestions on a couple of those. And I just want to say that when I do email the chief and the lieutenant and circle in Isaac and Alex about something that I see, they're very prompt with a response. They've got ordinance language to back up. There's always an officer that goes out and initiates contact, and there's always a prompt response via email, or the lieutenant has even directly given me a phone call because he wasn't sure exactly the placement of something. And I just think, I'm hopeful, and I definitely can vouch for this, that just because I'm a city councilor, that's not special treatment. I know other people in the community are making contact with our tip line, and there's always a response. So I thank you for that. I think that that's really important for our community to know that if they make a suggestion or have a concern, that it's responded to. The school board put out more on like social media the last couple weeks that they're doing a school bond this fall. Some people were shocked by that. They weren't aware that that was coming up. So in regards to Adventure Fest, they will have a booth there at the park to really talk about the school, the bond measure that they're putting out, what that entails in terms of cost and what they're trying to get out of it in terms of new buildings and improvements to existing buildings. So I think it is important as elected officials, we don't have to have our hand in all the things, but when it comes to these big measures, especially with school districts, that we have just kind of a general understanding of what the bond is asking for, and we can direct people to the appropriate party for questions. In regards to the Adventure Fest, I have 3 kids that have been talking about it for the last 12 months as well. Unfortunately, we'll be on a camping trip, but we will come back just for the one day on Saturday to do Adventure Fest. We couldn't miss it. I just wanted to thank Pete for giving me a phone call last week, because if you had read that letter tonight without any warning, I would have just totally lost it. I still needed a Kleenex, but I think Pete's one of those guys that have been in the community for decades in a leadership role, especially with our school district, and he just has such an empathetic heart. He's just got genuine way about him. He approaches any decision with just kind of a lot of vulnerability and humility, and he's willing and ready to receive feedback and just gain all the information that he needs to make the best decision. He's been extremely dedicated to the city by being on the different committees that he's been assigned to. I've had the pleasure of working on the traffic safety committee with him, and he does have a wealth of institution knowledge that we will greatly miss, but we'll suffer and make it through. Just start trying to find and recruiting some excellent replacements. It will be hard, but thank you. And I definitely respect your decision and wish you all the best in traveling or just being with your wife and your grandkids. And I know that she's going to love more time with you. So you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to really quickly read, Counselor Holmes isn't here, but she did give me something for the 50-year plan. So I'll read it real quick. Quick summary, they met, it's gotten to the stage of synthesizing all the different land use analysis and determining the implications that has for potentially expanding the urban growth boundary. It is made clear that the 50-year plan process is a land use exercise only. The work done around the community vision and statement, Affordable Housing Act, housing policy options, et cetera, will not factor into the final recommendations that come to council from the 50-year advisory committee. Land use assessments like the Parks Master Plan and housing needs analysis, et cetera, will be reflected in the recommendations to council. This is something to keep in mind as we consider how the 50-year plan may or may not intersect with other efforts such as branding. The committee revisited discussion of rezoning certain categories of residential land, reducing required lot sizes and allowing for increased density. The state also passed some bills that require increased density on certain multi-unit parcels by 2025. So some of the rezoning will be mandatory, but also adopting land use efficiency measures is something that needs to happen if we are going to make a bid at expanding our urban growth boundary. So key point, the group rejected the idea of reducing any of the single-family detached lot sizes. The committee feels it important to maintain the single-family lot size to continue to keep our more rural feel. All proposed changes are to make density slightly greater on the land already zoned for density, and the zoning changes would net us about approximately 10% growth in housing relative to what has identified as needed overall, the housing needs analysis. All these recommendations will be presented to a council at a joint work session with Planning Commission in the near future. Want to get that out? Real excited. I know an old kid, me, that's been excited for the Adventure Fest for another year or for the last year. So come on out and see me. I'll be there probably both days all the time. Nothing else to do.
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
I did, and my wife did teach the third grader that passed away this week last year. And so they're gonna probably have counselors and stuff at the school open on Friday. So if you know kids out there that are hurting, get them into the school on Friday, and meet with their other friends and counselors. It'd be very helpful. I do really want to thank Pete. I've looked up to Pete as a mentor. I've known him, unfortunately, only 7 months as a counselor, mayor, but 40-some years as a friend and a community member. He was a principal of mine. And back when I was 12, 13 years old, you really gave me confidence. You really thought I would be a good teacher. And you really you looked up. I mean, you talked to me like an adult, and you made me feel really special and gave me a lot of confidence. So although I couldn't become a teacher, I did the next best thing and married one. So made sure I got one in the family. I do have a son as a teacher now too. And a lot of that comes back from you back in the day. So I'm really appreciative that I got to work with you the last 7 months, after all these years of looking up to you and your family. So I really want to thank you for everything you've done for us in the city of Scappoose. That is all I have for tonight. Meeting adjourned.